every week we do something special. We do 3 topics a show, right? I pick a topic, you pick a topic, and then we let our community over at the Xbox Dive on Facebook
Great community.
which is an awesome community. Like we mentioned earlier, we've got such a great community that's interactive and does these polls and posts awesome stuff in there. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure to check that out.
Yep.
But this week, we put up 3 options. The first option was, Cuphead is a true Xbox One exclusive, but is that a good thing? The second topic we had, talking about the new character coming to Overwatch, which was Doomfist. And
Doomfist!
The third topic of choice was, is the Xbox One X too powerful for its own good? Now, we ran that, on our Xbox Dive Facebook community, and the winner of that was Cuphead. So, we're bringing Cuphead back. I know we already talked about Cuphead in the show earlier, but it's such a good topic, and it's coming up soon. We've been waiting years for it. In the community, this is what you guys want to hear us talk about. So, like I said, Cuphead, Studio MDHR came out and said Cuphead is 100% Xbox console exclusive. It will be coming to PC, and eventually will come to Mac. And I believe it's Play Anywhere. So if you buy it on Xbox One, you also get the PC copy, which is awesome. But the real question that people are asking, with Cuphead as an exclusive, is this a good thing for that small 2-man company? Now, Chris, you were kind of alluding to this earlier. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I am getting more and more to the point where I'm not a fan of exclusives. And I think that really the only person that I see that benefits from exclusives is hardware manufacturers, because software developers are limiting their audience where they can reach, and consumers are limiting the games that they can play. Like, unless I go out and buy 3 independent machines, I am not going to be able to play Spider-Man. And I'm not going to be able to play Mario Odyssey, right, if I'm just an Xbox gamer. And there are people out there that can't afford 2 or 3 consoles apiece, And so for me, I don't like the idea of exclusive games as a whole. And I know they'll always be there to a certain degree, but the less that are there, the happier that I actually am about it. But we started talking about this before, and I'll kind of explain my concern with going back into the details of this game. So in 2005, they showed this game at E3.
Man, it's been that long.
Yeah, well, yes. And that game exploded. Like, people saw that game, and if you remember, the very first time they showed it, it was just a like 10-second clip on like an indie reel.
Right.
And that game exploded. Yes. And Microsoft came to him and said, we're going to make this game, we're going to push this game. And so after the buzz in 2005...
Are you sure it's 2005? And that's a really long time ago.
Oh, no. Sorry, not 2005.
Oh, that's a really long time ago. That's 12 years ago.
No, 2015.
Thank you. You said 2005 twice. I'm like, that's a long time, man.
12 years? No, it's not been in development that long.
Well, I knew it was all hand-drawn, but my gosh.
Oh, man. That's way longer than it's supposed to be. Right. So, yeah, so it's just 2 years. So it's been 2015. So they showed it, and if you'll remember what happened, they it exploded. People were like, yes, but Microsoft wanted more content in it.
Right.
And so what the brothers ended up doing was the brothers ended up quitting their jobs. They remortgaged their house so they could afford to pay additional help to build a small team. Right. And now for 2 years they've been still working on this game. And now it's going to come to one platform, which is the lesser of the 2 platforms,
as far as overall console install.
Yes. So as far as install base, you're going to reach a lower audience just because of sheer numbers. And they have to make up now 4, 5, 6 years of their life, however long it's been.
It said they began development back in 2010.
Yeah,
So
so they're making
7
up
years.
7 years of their life and 2 years of jobless development.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. Now, I do not think for a second that Microsoft didn't pay them something.
Right.
Or agree to pay them something for getting exclusive content. It's not just like, hey, we're going to market your game. There had to have been some sort of monetary value attached to that. But even still, man, that's very, very risky to come out. And so I'll stop there. I have something else that I want to say, but I'll kind of let you share your thoughts, and we can kind of jump back in.
Sure. And I'm wondering the same thing, because as far as I know, Microsoft has been, pretty supportive of their indie teams. And so if Microsoft came to them and said, look, we want you to add, because it was just a boss rush game. That's what it was. But Microsoft said, no, we want platforming levels in between. And they weren't ready for that yet. And to my understanding, last time they showed it off, which was 2 years ago, I think, the platforming levels weren't received very well. And I think it's because they had to rush them, right? I felt like they were rushing to get them out. But I'm wondering if Microsoft wanted the levels, why wouldn't they provide the team members? Does that make sense? Because, they're the ones pushing them back. I think they could have added some kind of bonus, because I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what kind of deal they work between MDHR and Microsoft. But if what they say is true, they spent 7 years working on this game with 2 guys, hand-drawing it all. They're mortgaging their houses to be able to live to make this game. Yeah. If this game isn't successful, this is going to ruin their lives, right? They've lost everything.
Yeah, that's crazy. So if you're listening to this, buy Cuphead. Go pre-order it right now. It's only $19.99. $19.99, yeah. So one of the things I
already know that.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I was going to bring up real quick, we had a couple of the guys on the Facebook channel kind of talking back and forth about this, so I want to kind of address it. An analogy to this game came up in the way of Titanfall on the Facebook page. And so Titanfall 1 did really well on the Xbox One, and then Titanfall 2 came out and seemed to kind of stutter in a number of different ways. Now, Titanfall 2 still sold well, but it didn't meet expectations. So,
I think part of the problem with Titanfall 2 was that it burned 2 bridges, right? Because the Xbox fans were like, it's no longer exclusive. You're turning your backs on us, EA. We're not going to buy it. PlayStation fans were like, we didn't get the first one. We don't want the second one, even though they demanded it. And so it kind of like they just kind of like clashed. And so
on top of that, Battlefield 1 was released right before it, and Call of Duty was released right after it. However, all of that being said, like, that is still the risk with this game, because here's what Studio MDHR has said. They own the rights, the IP rights to the character. They own Cuphead. Right. So Cuphead 2, the Return of Mudman. Right. If it ever happens, they can put it on whatever platform they want if they decide to go multi-platform. Yeah. But then they run the risk of, let's say that, the Cuphead does turn out to be huge. Like, what does that do to the overall legacy of that franchise if it does end up going multi-platform? Will the Xbox fans be like, oh, we don't care now because now they're going back to PlayStation? And will the PlayStation fans be like, oh, well, you didn't care about us the first time, so why are we going to care about you now? Sure. Like, that's a huge risk. And when you're looking at it from a small team, man, it's just a lot of risk involved with a team like that.
Right. It's rough. The one thing I'm thinking of, though, they're technically an indie studio. Broken Age just hit Xbox One 2.5 years after it hit everywhere else. Yeah. But Xbox fans, as far as I can tell, are still happy it's here. They're happy they can finally play it. And so I feel like Cuphead is something special. Right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Where Titanfall was a shooter, right? And so, like you said, shooters, they're a dime a dozen, right? Because you got Battlefield, you got Battlefront, you've got Call of Duty, you've got, all these games, all these shooters, Halo, right? And Cuphead, there's nothing else like this on the market.
I agree. Yeah.
And this game, as long as it reviews well, it could, in theory, be a system seller, which which sounds crazy, but hear me out on this. Josh Brandt, who is our over at Life of Game, and he is the PlayStation guy. Like, he loves PlayStation. He lives and breathes PlayStation. But he is so excited for Cuphead. He said, if I could get any game on Xbox over to PlayStation, it would be Cuphead. That is the game I want more than anything. So there are people out there that say, yes, Cuphead is amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Cuphead itself would sell a system, but if you put, like, Cuphead's like the cherry on top, right?
Yeah.
Because you got your Halo, you got your Gears, you got your Forza, but now you also have Cuphead.
That's true. Yeah. So, my final thoughts here is just that the question that we asked was, is this being exclusive? Is it a good thing? And I think more than not, I think that it's not a good thing.
Right.
I think exclusive content is not great. But I will say, Microsoft is going to go out of their way to really push this game. They already have, and they will continue to do that. And I feel like Microsoft is doing right by the team. So I'm really hopeful they're going to see some good success.
Right.
With it.
And like I said, they've been promoting it like crazy any chance they get. Like over on Major Nelson Radio, you know, his podcast, they always bring up Cuphead. We always bring up Cuphead, and at least from our inner circles of conversation, there's always this fervor of, where is Cuphead? We want Cuphead. So we know the demand is there. But I agree that when they make it exclusive, but it's hurting the developers, that's a bad thing. Now, I don't know. Now, if Microsoft or someone else could step in and help pay and help finish the game, bring in team members, whatever it costs, awesome, right?
Yeah.
Because, like I said, we don't know what's in that deal. But I agree. I think overall, exclusives, it's a double-edged sword, right? You need them to sell systems, but at the same time, you know, we've been talking about a one console future and how much we'd like that, or like, you know, games that can play on anything, or, you know, that's a whole other story for another day. But I agree that with a studio this small, in the long run, this could really hurt them.
Yep.
So, what do you think, guys? I mean, I'm assuming you're all excited for Cuphead, because who wouldn't be excited for Cuphead? It's going to be amazing. But what do you think about exclusives, especially for indie games? You know, with small studios like this, where they have to actually, you know, take out another mortgage on their home just to finish the game. You know, what do you guys think about that kind of exclusives? What do you think Microsoft or another studio should help with the development? You know, what should they do to help complete this project so these small developers don't have to, you know, pretty much pick up their entire lives like this, you know, once this game is released? So, you know, let us know in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know there. As I mentioned, you can also hit us up on Twitter at the Xbox Dive, and also make sure to check out the Xbox Dive community group on Facebook, because that's where a majority of this conversation goes on.